Good afternoon and welcome to the Youth Roundtable. My name is Nancy Caroline Ayot. I'm your host. Today we'll be talking about the presidential debates that were hosted by Nation Media on Sunday, 30th November 2025. In the debate, notably, the President of the Republic of Uganda was absent alongside two other presidential candidates, Mr. Mubarak Munyagwa of the Common Man's Party and Mr. Kasivante Robert from the Revolutionary Peasants Party. However, in the debate, we had Mr. Mugisha Muntu from the Alliance for National Transformation, Mr. Robert Chagulanyi from the National Unity Platform, Mr. Frank Bulira from the Revolutionary People's Party, Nathan Nandala Mafabi of the Forum for Democratic Change, and Joseph Mabirizi from the Conservative Party. The debate was held under several thematic areas, and I do not want to get too deep into the conversation, otherwise I'll preempt the entire show. However, allow me to read out some notable quotes from the debate, and I will start with perhaps one of the most controversial quotes that came up, which is that I was hoping to face General Museveni in this debate. It is all right that he is not here because he is in the past and we are discussing the future of this country. This is from Mr. Robert Chagulanyi from the National Unity Platform. Then we also got one from Mr. Mugisha Muntu. We entered the race very well knowing the state of this country. 63 years, we've been in a vicious cycle. And then Mr. Nathan Nandala Mafabi said the next time bomb is from the unemployment of the youth. We also had the quote from Mr. Frank Bulira, and he said the biggest problem of Uganda is Mr. Museveni and his system of governance. And then Mr. Joseph Mabirizi, I beg your pardon, said Uganda's economic stagnation is inseparable from its hyper-centralized governance structure, and real governance will come from giving regional governments authority on land resources and investment decisions. In studio with me today, I have a panelist of youth leaders, and I'll begin introducing them from my extreme left coming in. We have Mr. Masawi Ivan from the FDC. He is an aspiring youth MP for Eastern Uganda. Welcome to the show, Mr. Masawi.
To our viewers, and Nancy, a good afternoon to you all, including fellow gentlemen here who are my fellow panelists today. I'm glad once again to join you for the Youth Roundtable, especially to give our opinions on the debate, the presidential debate, which is one of the activities of an election cycle that helps the Ugandans who are the voters in this case to know whom the right candidates and what candidates stand for in respect to their manifestos and agendas. So I'm grateful to be part of the discussion, and I wish that we shall have a successful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Masawi. And then we have Mr. Othieno Richard Okoth. He's an NUP youth leader. Othieno, welcome to the Youth Roundtable.
The pleasure is mine. The same spirit, I would like to greet our viewers, good afternoon, and to the panelists and my host, I would also like to extend the same greetings. As my host has said, I'm Othieno Richard from the National Unity Platform. We are here to speak about what happened on the presidential debate, and I think nothing beats this exercise because analysis is mostly the best part of any exercise. So it's a pleasure to be here, and it's also a pleasure to profound the voices from my party. So
thank you very much, Richard.
Yes.
And lastly, the next gentleman in the room is Olowo Augustine. He's the leader of the Kinetic Youth Leadership Foundation. Augustine, welcome to the Youth Roundtable.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, viewers, for sparing time to be with us this afternoon.
Yes. So to dive straight into the conversation, I am going to begin with you, Augustine, because these two have positions. They have positions by basis of the parties they ally with. So I am going to begin with you, Augustine. What was your overall perception of the 2025 presidential debates?
Thank you, Nancy. As a youth leader, I think that intellectual discourse is important, and even when it is one candidate debating against himself, it is normally a plus for especially us that want to vote depending on what people will offer. But generally, my perception on the debate is that it was a good one. Candidates improved, at least those that showed up, but also a significant percentage of the candidates did not show up. That means that it leaves the process wanting. I think, one, that debate was a little rushed. They did not have up to 14 days even to prepare. And, Ugandans now ride on fame, they ride on what is trending, and I think the debate thing was trending. So someone ideated the presidential debate and said, let's come together. And that's why you see the other three candidates that you rightly spelled out did not actually participate, maybe because of their schedules, maybe because they did not trust the media house. But for the five, at least, that showed up, Uganda has hope. There is hope that in future we'll have a good stream of leaders. Maybe not now, but in the future.
Yeah, I would say, when you talk about preparation, I would say that these candidates have been re-echoing their manifestos throughout the campaign trail. Wouldn't you say they were ready by that fact to be on a presidential debate to actually discuss issues?
Yeah, well, to get ready is subjective, and it is normally who is saying you're ready or you're not ready. But for me, I think that maybe the next one we will get a little better. The candidates didn't perform poorly even when they did not have enough time to prepare. They told us exactly what you're saying, what is in their manifesto, and what they envision for a new Uganda, maybe a better Uganda from their lens. So for me, one, it was not in the elections calendar. You remember the last time we had a debate, it was structured very well. The Elders Forum put up and announced it maybe even before the presidential nominations. This time, after nominations, we jumped on a trend of debates to compete with another media house, and that's how we ended there. But I think generally, even with a little preparation, the candidates did well, the media house did well, and we are good to go.
If I'm deducing your statement very well, you're saying that the media house was biased and they did the debate in order to compete with the other media house. Am I right?
That is what happens in Uganda. You see, even in a simple activity of an introduction, we want to compete with the neighbor's child. So that's exactly what Uganda is these days.
Thank you, Augustine. I do not want us to digress. I don't want us to digress. Now, to come to you, Richard, I will ask this. What is your bias of the presidential debate that took place on Sunday night?
Thank you. My bias, I think the people that we wanted to see came. The ones that we didn't want to see didn't come. That's for me my bias, because at least for a particular candidate, I've listened to him for my whole life as a human being, as a candidate. And also this whole thing of preparation, let me first put that under the carpet. He mentioned something about the previous debates, but let's remind ourselves that one of the candidates that missed this debate also missed that one of the previous debates. So I don't know where he stands from to say that he would have come when even the ones that were organized prior, he did miss. But anyways, one of my bias was that I think the media house kind of had questions for each particular candidate instead of having a blanket question. For example, the candidate Chagulanyi Sentam did not get enough questions about security and how he would have fared well with the security apparatus. in that he had to actually just interject in between to put his point across. If you watched the debate, there are points where he just had to just put it more of like a side note. But overall, I think the debate was very good. It was very informative. And yeah, I think if you had any doubts on who on who to vote or who not to vote, I think that was, you know, I always take debates as an opportunity, because I do not want to belittle anyone, but I think the media house came out and said that there were 1 million people watched the debate.
Online.
So that those are 1 million opportunities that you could have had to swing the vote to your side. Because, I don't know, it just takes that one moment of spark. So for me, every time you're looking at a camera, you're with people, you're talking, I think that you should jump onto that, ideally.
That trend.
So whoever missed, I don't know whoever was playing their pawns, but I think they played the wrong move there. But yeah.
I would not say they exactly played the wrong move, because I know for certain that the national media house, UBC, was playing an alternative Gen Z youth show that was showing, that was talking about, for example, the good side of the NRM. So would you say that they exactly missed out, or they played a strategic move?
Yeah, it was playing a one-sided show. We needed a whole panel. It's like I'm serving out a buffet and you're saying, the other guy has chicken right there. Yes, chicken is good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I think it would have been better if you let everyone showcase what they have for the country. I think there it gives the electorate a better playing field to choose whoever is more suited to take them forward.
Thank you very much, Richard. Now we'll go to Masawi. Please tell us about your bias on the presidential debate.
Presidential candidates are just normal Ugandans like any other Ugandans. They have identified a problem in society, and they have come up with a political motive to leverage around it to see that they sell. So a debate is naturally selling platforms. You've come to sell your ideas and what you stand for. In 2016, I was lucky that I followed all the candidates in that debate. They had John Patrick Amama Mbabazi, they had General Biraro, they had Dr. Kizza Besigye, it had Museveni, it had Maureen Chalia, it had Elton Mabirizi, and the eighth then
Kimanya Kabonera MP now.
Dr. Abed Rwanda, who was number 8. That debate, the only difference between its quality and this one is that the people who are involved in the organizing were people who had enough experience globally from elsewhere in organizing debates, which was not the case this time. But on a serious note, I would like to congratulate the national media group, NTV, Spark Media, and Dr. Nsibirwa herself. Growth starts in that way. You begin by showing up. So people may question the setup, people may question the attendance, but I think it is an achievement to see that they are now at a level of organizing a presidential debate. There are candidates who it is obvious they won't allow things that equate them to people who are more young and stronger than they are. I don't know why most of you forget that President Museveni is over 80 years. I don't know if any man who is 80 years would handle a speed of talking whatever they want you to talk in 4 minutes. You want to believe that he's still very competitive, he's still what? you followed him in his campaign where he's telling people in 1925, and you think that is a sound mind to lead you. So, coming back, some people dodging the debate towards intentional, they can't handle. With the Right Honorable Nandala Masawi, we have requested General Museveni that even if he allows the host the debate in State House, we are willing to go. Whether at day or at night, and it be a debate. But their intention is they know he can't handle. So it is not that he shall be here, be right, that his man NTV hates him. A media channel is supposed to be eyes of society. It's supposed to be equal in whatever it serves the nation. It is supposed to be neutral. It is supposed to be impartial. So whenever you hear a presidential candidate who is an incumbent and the head of state having issues with a media group in a specific, then it should be a two-way audit. You can't listen to him without listening to the media group where it is going wrong. Because if he accuses it of saying that to promote opposition, why don't we also accuse UBC, which we feed with our own taxes, for promoting him individually? That UBC has no programs that are there to see that everybody gets a chance, but there are programs you'll be discussing since then from nowhere. They take you to the bush. They begin singing songs.
No, but UBC has Behind the Headlines. That is a show that has a lot of opposition.
I want you to leave a show, but leave also what the TV is known for, right? And even the show itself, I don't think it is something they do because it is in their interest. They do it because they would lose following completely. I don't think they put that show because it is in their interest that they love it so much.
It's actually once a week.
So, coming back to the presidential debate, with utmost respect to the presidential candidates that showed up, I believe each candidate can't give what he doesn't have. That is what their minds can think. It shows how highest each, where their brain ends and where they start from. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now to come back to Augustine. Yes, so I'm going to go back to the quote by one of the candidates. And he said, Uganda's problem is Museveni and his governance system. So when he was making that argument, I'm a person who was watching online, and I saw the stream of people responding to that comment, and they said that a comment like Museveni must go is no longer enough. People want to see what an alternative government should look like. What is your perspective on this? Do you still believe that a candidate can simply go on the campaign trail and say Museveni must go without actually bringing in constructive policies?
Well, like Masawi said, a candidate can only offer what he has. He cannot offer what he does not have. But I also think that significantly, we all agree on this panel that the president has been there for so long. Whether or not he should continue ruling us is an alternative that the people of this country will decide on 15th of January next year. But
do you believe that realistically?
Realistically, do I believe the quote?
That the people of Uganda will decide whether or not they will be ruled by the president on 15th January.
But that is the reason we are having the presidential debate. That's the reason candidates are moving around here and there trying to convince Ugandans. I think 21 million of us are voters. So once we have the people go into the ballot and tick his preferred candidate, his or mine or even yours, we are able to change government. I think that, yes, the guy has taken so long. What comes with longevity are things like that. Your governance structures start to break. And of course, in some areas, that is evident. But also in the strongest areas of this country, I still believe our governance systems are strong. It is the mindset of us, the people of Uganda, that actually does not support government to operate fully and completely. We have enabled things like corruption. You realize it starts with family. It does not have anything to do with the president. Even if you got Nandara and put him as president of this country, even if you got Elton Joseph Mabirizi and put him as president of this country, without fixing the mindset of Ugandans, we will still continue in the same, and we will continue to blame ourselves.
Would you say it's the mindset of Ugandans or the systems that are in place?
Yeah, systems, structures are based on mindset, trends, and behaviors of our people. And you see, this, for us to create a system, it starts with an individual mindset. Let me take this medicine that is meant for the other hospital to my clinic. Now, you see, at that point, we are not seeing the hand of government anywhere. We are just seeing an individual, Masawi, Augustine, or even Nancy, carrying what is meant for an impoverished Ugandan down there to their clinic for sale. So it doesn't really have to do with anything about the government, although I agree that maybe government hasn't been as stringent and as it should have been in protecting some of those gains that we have made.
What are those gains?
Over time. Peace and security. Our economy has grown over time.
It's 40 years. It rightfully must.
Yes, but you see, there are countries that have taken 60 years and their economy has not grown.
No,
compare.
Just
one example.
Allow me, please. Let's protect him. I'm saying what I'm trying to say.
Protect me the way we protect gains.
Yes. So what I am trying to ask is this: that in light of the arguments of the opposition, for example, they say, for example, that security is a farce, considering the continuous abductions of people, considering people do not have access to basic services, considering the fact that many Ugandans in this country are still suffering from not having secure homes. So security, they believe, is a farce, but also the fact that there is state-facilitated violence against people. Secondly, things like the economic empowerment, looking at our youth unemployment, which is one of the biggest issues in the debate. Would you still say that those are the gains? That was the biggest thing that people asked. What gains are we protecting?
You've raised two sectors that were deeply discussed in the debate.
Yes.
Empowerment of the economy, economic empowerment or youth empowerment. Nancy, you should be aware that in every parish there is a model.
Is it effective?
You need to know that in every sub-county there is an Emyoga circle for people that want to get out of poverty, if they are in poverty in that area anyway. You need to know that we have groups of young people that government supports with the Youth Livelihood Fund. Now, all those government programs are intended to make us live a better life as Ugandans. Whether or not ourselves, you see, again, government allocates these monies and sends to our parishes. There are people that mismanage this money, our own parents and our own siblings.
So the government.
So how then does government become a big problem there?
So the government gives money to the people who mismanage it.
About security that you talked about, because you said there are abductions here and there. You see, the US is secure, but there are abductions there.
State facilitated.
No, we don't have state facilitated abductions here, not so much like you think. If we had moved to a level of enforced disappearance, we would be speaking about insecurity in the country. For now, if you move around the world, you'll be able, and you have moved, you should be able to know that Uganda is completely secure. We have attacks from M23, we have attacks from... these days, we don't even have attacks from people that fund the opposition because we then passed the law against the abbreviation. So we are okay for now in terms of security. So
would you believe that that is the true test of freedom, or that it reflects the realities of people?
Freedom is subjective, again. Because for me, I may look at freedom from an economic perspective. Once I am able to have 3,000 shillings, okay, not 3,000, $2 in my pocket in a day, I feel I am economically okay. There's a guy that if he spent a day without getting 100 million shillings, the guy falls sick. He feels he's not secure. So subjective from one person to another. But if you spoke about freedom in the sense of security, it's there. You can move to Chikubo and no one picks your phone these days. But those days, those days when we were growing up in our villages, they would buy us Christmas clothes, and then we dig a pit somewhere, put a suitcase, and open it the following day because thieves would come home to steal the clothes. That's a practical example. You all know, you've resonated with that. So I think our homes, like you said, are a little more secure now than before. We just need to protect those little gains and then we proceed. Yes, there are, of course, gaps that we need to fix. And that's why all these presidential candidates are coming out to point out areas that they feel the country is weak at. It would be better to share notes with them, get good notes, for example, of the Honorable Nathan Nandala Masawi, the notes from General Muntu, notes from Robert Chagulanyi, if any, and then put them together and move forward as a country.
We know your bias now. We know your bias now, Augustine. To go to Richard, because I know you will respond to some of the things that he said, but I want you to wrap it up in a minute and we go to the question which I want to ask you. And the question I want to ask you is about Mr. Chagulanyi's submissions on economic empowerment, especially. Not just economic empowerment, but also governance. The script that Mr. Chagulanyi is selling to us is the same script that Mr. Museveni sold to Ugandans almost 40 years ago. Change structures, put better governance systems, accountability, be inclusive of all people. That is the same script that. So what safeguards, because we did not hear about safeguards. Most people say that his policies are more idealistic than realistic. And what do you have to say about that? How can we drum home the realities of his economic policies?
Thank you. First and foremost, you have to look at how both of them will come into power.
Yes.
One came through entitlement, believe it or not. I've read a couple of those NRA books. I've read a couple of those NRA books. One from the most recent from Mr. Kazora. There is a lot of entitlement that is in this government. So before I even go into that, I would like to first and foremost put his points to bed. The first one is about the Myoga and the PDMs.
Give me a moment. So can you respond to him? Then we go to
then
Masawi.
We go to the question.
No, then we go to Masawi, and then in the next section you can answer the question on Mr. Chagulanyi's policy.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
I think that is okay. I'll start with this PDM structure. First and foremost, the PDM was set up to fail. If you look at the way they rolled out PDM, it was set out to fail even before it was rolled out. PDM was actually a concept that brought Singapore to prosperity. And I think that's what they tried to bring here in Uganda. But they didn't get how Singapore brought it to their own field of play. How did Singapore bring it up? They did it this way. Let's say your youths from Butaleja. I don't know if any of us here is from Butaleja, but I just want to use that. Your well-known rice-growing community. You get it? You're a well-known rice-growing community. What would the government do? Does it come out and give you 1 million? Because if you give me 1 million, how sure are you that I'm going to use it well? So what the Singapore government did is they got a target community, let's say the Butaleja people, and they say these people are well versed with rice. So what they did is they brought them, they got their needs. They found out that these people need seeds or seedlings, cheaper seedlings. They made seedlings cheaper. They said these people might need tractors, so they put tractors at a certain point. So you who is a farmer, you go get the tractors, go farm, take back the tractor. You get it? That was the parish development model. Come the NRM, what do? They say, let's just send 1 million shillings. Honestly speaking, if you were to give people in this panel 1 million shillings and you told them to come back next week, there are higher chances that they'll be having less than 50,000 shillings. Not that they are not entrepreneurial, but the needs of this this economy are more, they take away more than give. In other words, we live in an economy that sucks more than cushions, because an economy is supposed to cushion for the citizens, such that they can have more of a stable way of life. But the economy we have right now, so I don't know what he bases on to say that PDM is OM yoga, because I've grown up knowing Bonaba Gagawale. Where did it end? Operation Wealth Creation. What happened to it? And how different is it from PDM?
Okay.
You get it? So it's just another facade in the Museveni government that I don't think will bring any prosperity. You also mentioned about the gains. This is what disturbs me. Most people flaunt around infrastructure. For example, the Southern Bypass, it's called the Express Highway. They flaunt around, for example, now they're flaunting around the Hoima Stadium. But I usually ask them one question. Of all these infrastructure that you're flaunting, how many of them are not in debt? Yes, they are there, but how many of them are not in debt? All of these infrastructure they're flaunting around, we are being demanded all these things, and these are the gains they want to what? To protect. Show us one gain that you want to protect that is truly Ugandan. Amin lived for 7 years. His tenure was 7 years. You can't tell me how many Uganda houses we have. They're owned by the government, owned by the Ugandan person. There is no single debt on them. Show me one infrastructure by this government.
I'm going to stop you on that
right,
point.
Let me just go.
Wrap up.
So I just want to tell the people out there that the gains are a facade, and they're just what we call a ruse. For us who hunt, for me, I'm a villager, so used to do what they call a ruse. So it's just a ruse. You just put it there to show a picture, but it's just something that doesn't exist. So they just want to protect a virtual reality. Let me say it in that.
Okay, thank you. So Ivan, I don't know if you want to respond to any part of the conversations we've had, or we can go next straight to your question before we go for the break.
It is your moderator.
Okay. Okay. What I wanted to ask was to jump on the issue of economic empowerment, because whether people believe it, whether people want to admit it or not, we know that the FDC took the cup, especially when it came to the conversation on economic empowerment. Your slogan, putting money in people's pockets. So one of the issues that came up is the fact that Mr. Masawi is talking about putting money in people's pockets, and it does not, it will not translate to actually handling systemic inequalities, especially in terms of taxes and in terms of the enabling environment that Richard was talking about. So what is your say on that? Does the FDC address that adequately, or did they address it in the debate?
I will start from reacting to their statements. When people are in a saving, someone who has in saving 1K and the one who has 100 million, each will move outside boastful saying, I have savings. President Museveni is protecting gains of 1K, but he will boost around as if he's protecting gains of 100 million. But it is just being disrespectful, blind, and with a bad heart to say he hasn't done anything. There are things he has achieved. The biggest challenge he has had is he's not an effective person. These things he achieves them in a secular manner. Today there is security, tomorrow there is insecurity. In a secular manner, it's just a wave. So most of us who challenge him is not that he's not hardworking, he's not good. He's just a good man, he's a bad heart. So coming back to your question, the real ideology of economics, when you're a presidential candidate, whether you read Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, you want to deal with issues that people spend money on. What are the biggest things that suck people's money from their pockets? When we chose fixing the economy, money in our pockets, it was not that we are going to carry money and put in your pockets. We were going to work on the systematic challenges that cause you to overspend so that you have time to feel that you will have a retainer in your pocket. Because if the cost of fuel, a liter of fuel in Uganda has taxes of 2,400 and you buy a liter of fuel at 5,000, as the FDC, we said, no, we need taxes still, but we are going to be having fuel. Why don't we reduce fuel a liter from the 2,000 on taxes to being 500 shillings? And a liter of fuel is now cheaper, so that a gentleman living in Mukono spends 1K in a taxi to reach Mukono than the 4K, and he can retain 3,000 in the pocket to go and spend it on other necessities. So the biggest way of economics is you reduce what people overspend on. People are now taking children to baby class at 4 million. Why? Because the education sector has been characterized in such a way that it is ineffective to take your child to a public school. It is a risk to think public school will give you a guarantee, because when teachers went on strike, those in private were teaching, those in the public schools were striking, but they all went for the same UNEB. The living exams were the same for those striking and those who are learning. So there is where parents are just human beings like any other person. They want the best for their children. And as FDC, we looked at relievers. Where do we relieve a Ugandan? To relieve worries and scares, but also have a breathing space of now channeling their energy towards a growing mindset. Most of the Ugandans have been fixed in survival mode, and the only way we chose to unlock that button is that you can no longer tell people about peace in this era, really. You just be a liar. Because people now have we have more Ugandans in the Middle East than even in some districts. 80% of districts in Uganda. People can now move anywhere. But the biggest issue is how best do they now leverage on this peace. I don't want people to always say peace has been attributed to Museveni alone. Peace was attributed to every Ugandan who fought. People like Muntu were in the very government with him and left. There are those who have even died. It should not be a man. Okay, he's just a man who is good at brainwashing people. So is why you feel even a young person will come, speak, because most Ugandans are in survival. They live not sure of tomorrow. They don't. When we speak of the economy, you can't address the economy using unemployment. You speak of the economy using the opportunities you're creating. Is why people are saying, but it looks Nandala has only been dreaming of agriculture. Agriculture is the biggest sector in Uganda's opportunity sector. If you're looking for opportunity, there is no way a sound presidential candidate you can fail not to recognize that if our agriculture was mechanized and made more smarter, you would not see more than 5 million jobs for people. It is just a year, even not even in 5 years, in a year, because the biggest issue that has caused this is the current NRM government has not brought land laws to protect people and their land. So everybody is in survival, fighting to steal land. The other one are stolen, fighting to sell the graves of the grandparents. They are all in that mode because poverty has been intentional to impoverish them. You always hear the fiscal report saying Uganda's economy has grown by 6%, but these are 2% of the population who have contributed to that growth, and majority are Indians. I don't know why they count Uganda's growth and you count Sudiri, you count these Indians selling Mukwano, where these are Asian origin who help Uganda's economy to be seen as big. But when the majority of Ugandans, you have more than 80% of the country, people have never touched 1 million shillings. They were to touch it in PDM, they got excited, parish chiefs were giving them 700, 600. I've moved with the Honorable Nandala in over 40 districts, and this is the feedback we have been getting. Because every Friday to Sunday, I'm doing nothing other than campaigns. So, those who say it is inequalities, we expect people not to understand us sometimes, because what we are preaching is not easy to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people who naturally fear money, and there are also people who are naturally comfortable with poverty. So it takes time. And whenever you're a good leader, you don't need to push someone to understand very fast. You need to give them time to appreciate. Is it helpful to them, or it is helpful to you because you want their vote? But the whole issue has been that we need to begin as all presidential candidates to spread a message that awakens the population. Even if Museveni died in bed, even if he was to be born again and start at 1 year, as long as we don't awaken our population to know that we are now the world has changed to become a global, economically competing world, that we need to work on our economics, we need to work on our brand in the economy, we need to work on our opportunities, we need to get our biggest potential, who are the young people, into productivity. Because the UBOS report has 5.5 million young people between the age of 18 and 25 who do nothing. They are not in education, not in employment, not in training. The little they get when they have a smartphone, they can wake up to maybe put on their status where a certain presidential candidate is, who will give them hope, or will make them look relevant, or they will be paraded to wear NRM shirts and be given free rice and again wait for another rally. So we are having young people who are not realizing any potential of their own lives, but also contributing. So all these hindrances are things that I would really request all presidential candidates, even MPs. You will not say that you want people to vote for you, but you don't mind about their welfare. Is why I've called on everywhere I go that people should get interested in people who are interested in them to represent them. These things of people exciting you that they have ordered us to vote who is one of the reasons people have been kept hostage in poverty, hostage in just being part.
But Masawi, why are you saying vote who? Just say vote umbrella.
No, but if you voted the Honorable Nandala Mafan because you understood him, it helps you. It is not that, okay, for example, you understood the umbrella.
No.
It should be your obligation to say what the umbrella is going to do for Ugandans.
That is
I always move every day from morning to sunlight speaking for FDC because I don't go there to receive instructions. I go there to contribute. I have never gone to FDC that I've come here to reduce, to get guidelines of what should I go there to take my head to put in discussions. I was privileged that chapter 5 of their manifesto I took part, and some people came here and even on this very show and criticized some of my ideas. But I appreciate there are also a group of Ugandans who will sit down and say, but Masawi and your boys, you make sense. Because in any country, whatever intentions you have to do is to uplift people's hope. The biggest issue that the NRM has preached is hopelessness, that there can never be a change in government, that there can never be a change in who gives commands, that there can never be change in how tribalism and employment take course. The very question you asked me, people feeling, saying that how best will it be equitable, because the Ugandans now believe there is no equity. Just here, even in Uganda, here in Kampala, here, people are voting saying it is between oppression and oppressors. But we should get at equilibrium, because the whole intention of any leader should be to serve more people as possible, not fame, not popularity. And I think President Museveni has tried it. Just that what I've told you, that he's a good man with a bad heart. He can give you using one hand and steals with two hands. Because you can't say you raise the budget, but when you have 32.7 million from domestic tax collection, you have a small from grants, then you have another 35, almost the biggest is from loans and expense. Then you look at the expenses of the small money that has remained is paying salaries but not doing anything else. And when you look at the salary scale, you get an MP, you get a minister, you get your tribesmen, you get your people in the army, and give them 9 point something trillion for army men to go and share. And then carry education sector, you give it money in around billions. And then 8 million learners join P1, only 1 million sit for P7. And we are happy.
But Masawi, what do you
thank you so much. Let's save this for the break. Let's save this for the break. Let's save this after the break. Augustine, let's save it for after the break.
I will answer. I've told you whatever I'm preaching. You don't need to understand me quickly. It depends on how you understand people. But I'll give you solutions. One of the solutions is you to go and read the FDC manifesto.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll now go for a short break and return with the next section of the show. This is the Youth Roundtable.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create, and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices, and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Well, welcome back from the break. Now we were discussing the FDC's economic policies, which was a big part of the debate. Now we will go straight to the NUP, and we asked the NUP, how different is your governance strategy from Museveni's governance strategy, and how sure are we that 5 years later, if you're voted, we will not go back into that same vicious cycle, as Mr. Muntu calls it?
Thank you. For the NUP, we are people-centered. And with that, that's why the president, during the presidential debate, he was talking about the cottage industries. So for him, he wants to start from the low-lying cottage industries. That is in terms of township and rural entrepreneurship, in that the local person, the person from the ground up, is empowered enough to also how would I say, what's the right word to use there? Like also to contribute to the economy. Because you find right now that the people actually contributing to the economy, like my colleague said, are mostly the Indians. Yeah, it's the Mokwanos, it's the Hima Cements, but the average Ugandan is actually not contributing to the economy. And there is 45 million of us. So the president wants to empower the local people through the cottage industries, and it has been done before. If you look at China, they took that same step. They started by sourcing from the local people, empowering them to start up local industries, empowering the local industries, empowering the local people on how to actually own up the economy. Because you do realize that our economy right now is not actually owned by us.
Yeah. Richard, hear me out.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is that Mr. Chagulanyi's idea of empowering the local people is the same thing that the NRM will say it is doing. What I'm trying to say is, what are you guys planning to do differently? Because when we hear this, it's the same script of a leader who has already led for almost 40 years. Even in 1986, when the NRA came, they were popular for their people-centered issues and for how they presented issues to people and how people were getting involved, to the point that the most popular constitution was made. We can debate on whether or not people were included,
now,
but
the question should be, were they bad ideas?
they were not good bad
They were
ideas.
not. But the implementation. You get it? They were not bad ideas. We can debate over that or not. They were not bad ideas. The people who were supposed to implement them didn't implement them.
So what safety guidelines are you people predicting to make sure that those ideas are implemented properly?
I would say the first, when you look at our manifesto, the first priority spells it out: rule of law. If the laws in this country were actually being followed to the letter, we wouldn't be in this conversation right now. Wouldn't be talking about a 40-year-old regime. You get it? But because we are living in a rogue government, we are being ruled by a rogue government, even the safeguards that were put in by the constitution, they were removed. So how different is His Excellency Robert Chagulanyi from President Yoweri Museveni? He's going to be rules-based, laws-based, in that you strengthen the laws, you strengthen your constitution, that will give the people a mandate over you. That's why he says he's going to be a people servant leader, not a ruler, in fact. So to go back to our economic policy, the NUP, when you look at our mandate, I would like to center mostly on empowering the people, not via handouts, no, real empowerment, in that you put a stable base, a stable economy. You know, most times I get a lot of headache when people say that your president wants to remove taxation, but I always tell them taxation is not the only way the government can make money. There are very many ways the government can make money. Why should you strangle the already struggling Ugandan through taxes? There are other ways you can make money. One good example is I asked someone, how much do you think MTN makes money? How much money do you think MTN makes in a year? You get it? Countries like UAE, one of the places where they get money is through Etisalat. Etisalat is a telecoms company, but it's owned by the UAE government. The money they get from Etisalat could have been levied. You know, taxes is the easy way to get money. That's the truth. If you're lazy and you don't want to work harder, just tax them. It's the easy way to get money. But there are better ways to get money without straining the people. So for us as the National Unity Platform, we advocate for leaner ways of getting money. And also, let's not kid ourselves. We are a very wasteful government. A very wasteful government. Point to note, how many government cars did you pass coming here? That's just one thing. Just look at that. But that is fuel, that is maintenance. But why do we need those? You always bypass government cars on Sundays. There is no official government business on Sunday. But you always find them wherever you go. But that is your taxpayers' money. Why should we be that extravagant for a government that has such a GDP of less than 60 million USD? So I think we as a people have to come up and elect a government from we among ourselves, And I think that best government would be the National Unity Platform.
Thank you very much, Richard. I'm coming to you, Augustine. I'm coming to you, Augustine. And you know, we've had policies, we've had conversations, and I would like to ask you, because this is a serious issue for many Ugandans, beyond the nice writings and the flashy words, how would you judge the integrity of the presidential candidates that have made it to the ballot, whether they showed up for the debate or not? Their integrity, in terms of personality, in terms of their track record and their leadership journeys, how would you rate that?
I think that for those candidates that we know so well, when you talk about integrity and all those other things we are talking about, and you're talking about background of candidates, you see, for inspiration, out of all those candidates, there's no one that inspires more than Robert Chagulanyi. It's not there. For inspiration, from the ghetto to parliament, and now vying for presidency. That's for inspiration. For accountability, there is no candidate better than Mugisha Muntu and General Museveni. For fun, for fun, entertainment, we have a lot, quite a number that I will not mention. To fix the economy, there is nobody from experience of Bugiso Cooperative Union and all these other things better than the FDC candidate. But of course, he has accountability issues that Masawi knows very well. That broke the FDC into almost very many. Broke it to ANT, went to PFF, I don't know, PPF, something like that. And now the FDC has remained strong. I think if we want to approach this country from an economics perspective, you can only think of Nathan Nandala Mafabi. And now I want to remove the incumbent out of this conversation because you see, he was not part of this. For him, if you've been keenly following the incumbent, he does not look like he's actually campaigning. He's basically showing us what he has done over time so that you are sure that with him on the grip, you actually are better as a nation. But for those that are probably still campaigning and moving here and there, I think to fix the economy, that gentleman. To inspire you to get better, maybe, this gentleman. And for accountability,
to continue lying to you, this
for accountability and all those things, we have Mugisha Muntu. He has a track record, even when he was president of the FDC, when he was in the army and all those, he was there. And you see, it is not that you're just voting maybe the president, you're voting the entire NRM to continue with whatever is in the country now, or to improve just a few things. The NRM is not, at 40 years, the NRM will not have any new tricks. We will maintain as a government the same things that you have been seeing, and we will continue to grow if growth is what we've been doing.
So you've owned up to NRM, you said we will.
Well, no, we are a country. We are a country, Nancy.
Okay.
And all these people are countrymen of Uganda. So everyone referring to president here is speaking about one president. Uganda has one president. We don't have very many. Of course, we have President Rotary Club, Rotaract, Interact, President FDC, President NUB. The country just has one. And for me, I think that to remain relevant to the integrity of your question, that could be what I can add there.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to invite Masawi to the conversation. And now we'll talk about what we did not hear. As a moderator, let me bring my bias to the conversation. I did not hear a conversation on the welfare, especially in terms of women and exclusion. And it felt like it was something that missed. And yet, yes, and it missed in the entire debate. Because we know that when we're talking about equity and exclusion, women play a critical part in this conversation. Yes, we had the youth conversation because it's a powerful conversation in the vote. However, we did not hear a conversation on women. What is your perspective on that, Masawi?
First of all, I don't know where when people support NRM, they find it very difficult in intellectual debates to come out and be clear that I'm NRM, why I support it. You are asking me. about issues of gender responsiveness in presidential manifestos. Anyone who is sensible enough and knows what it means being a presidential candidate, even if a councillor, you always package your messages on what is most cutting, what is most essential, and what is the big, what brings in more results, and then what follows. I don't want to say gender responsiveness was even in the thematic areas that were read by the moderator. It was still the role of the moderator to ask the questions, not the candidates. And it was not part of the thematic areas that were to be covered. I saw security and governance, unemployment, the economy.
Tourism or something.
Yeah, so it was not part of the, but coming back to your question, most presidential candidates give attention to things that hurt all. You are well aware, I don't know if you are an economist or not, this country has a debt burden of 116.2 trillion shillings. That is around 32.3 billion shillings. Each Ugandan dying or alive, you move as a debt of 2 million shillings. Out of you, default, even your born kid has a loan of what? To repay. Each moving Ugandan, whether you die by accident or what, you have defaulted. We are all demanded equally, including the one who ate and the one who never ate. Because a debt is to a country, it is not to Mr. Museveni who borrowed and mismanaged the loan. So when you hear people finding it hard, say talking casually, as if politics is casual, who should be your president is a casual, it shows you how lame and crippled people have disturbed this country. And like I've told you, it doesn't happen as a quick fix to make people realize that they deserve better. That who are always comfortable, and that's also why in discomfort we have also got used to discomfort. That even if Nandara would be a president, I would some days be a problem for him. Even if I would be part of him and say, because growth naturally should happen in discomfort. So that is a rule of life. But coming back to the issue of gender responsiveness, in my party, in our thematic area, we have women and special interest groups that are the youth. We do speak of the percentage that the women will contribute to our government. We do speak of women programs for teenage mothers. We do speak of teenage centers for teenage mothers who should be put into skilling and contributing. Not because you have given birth at early age, you want sympathizers. We want a government, even you a teenage mother, you do. Our biggest idea in fixing the economy was to widen the tax base. The Ugandans who enjoy just to be given. I think if you to vote the Honorable Nandara, be ready to work. I don't want to say that I want your vote. Be ready to work. We want everybody to contribute. This is why we want to put a platform to bring more people towards contributing so that taxes are lowered because very many people are productive.
Allow me to interject somewhere. My point is this. The most poor are the women. The biggest contributors in even subsistence agriculture are women. The rural women do a lot of work. My point is, why do you believe that they did not make it as priority in a conversation as big as the national conversation on president?
I don't know when I said the word Uganda, I've said man.
No. No, this is the fact. The point is, inequalities affect people differently. It's the reason why we can have youth as a thematic area. The youth conversation is bigger than the women conversation, and yet the women conversation has been here longer. Why is that?
You're trying to victimize women.
We are not. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that if we can. No. If we're trying to, like, if we're looking generally at the state of people in this country, we can adequately say that it is most likely for a female youth to have less money than a male youth, or to have less opportunities to actually look for that money.
I think it has been that in the past, but
no, current
has really.
No. But let's not talk about the NRM government.
In the past. No, but is NRM, why are you denying him
I'm
the chance to show
saying
it?
we've debunked the conversation that the NRM government has put in issues. However, we have to talk about the loopholes that are there.
Yeah.
Yes. And for me, one thing that I saw was that even in the conversations about, for example, the economy, we do not acknowledge the fact that there are these gaps like feminization of poverty.
Yeah.
Europe, to reach where it reached, it had to address Europeans and not classes in society.
But classism is a bigger factor in poverty.
I don't know. I don't see my daughter as a woman. I see her as a Ugandan fighting to be equal, more than even boys. I don't want to see that.
But do you acknowledge that she'll face more problems as a woman fighting for those spaces?
I acknowledge that she has more responsibility to be better than men. I don't know if you understand me. Part of the biggest issues disturbing our women is that people had given them a kitchen mindset. Your housekeepers, you sit in the kitchen, what? And that is what that even doesn't need a presidential candidate. The world has just opened it up that a woman is not a housekeeper, is not a one to sit at home to cook, but a woman is now as equal as a man in contributing to the economy, to the society, to the family. So whenever you now see people take us backwards to victimize women, what? Even the Sabinese who are circumcising women are no longer doing it. Not that they don't want. It's because they now feel ashamed that they will be accused of being left behind.
But they're doing it.
I'm told they
But they're doing it.
On a small
I
scale.
campaign there and I know what they are going through.
Oh, no, but there are blatant cases of them doing it. They still cross to Kenya to actually even do it.
By the
And those
time
in
you
Kenya
cross to
cross.
Kenya, you have gone out of passion. I wanted to say it was
Jurisdiction.
you've gone to for passion. So, gender responsiveness in our day-to-day, whether you're NRM, whether you're NUP, whether you're PFF, whether you're DP, I don't want to say it is not a major cutting factor. I believe today, even by the school enrollment, you will see that Makere now graduates more girls than boys. Kyambogo graduated more girls than boys. It was worse at UC. You would think it is a girls' university. When the graduation was happening, more women today are accessing education. The only way we now need to see is that how best do more women realize their potential. Which you can't say you will start with that. You first start with the basics. There are economic systems that give everybody equity to participate. Is there access to education that gives that? Is there access to greater markets, great roads that also enable women to travel to cities equally? Is there access to internet tools and digital platforms that also give women potential to market their product? Is there access to things like access to how do I say it? Opportunities, employment, and what that are now not gender discriminative. Because today women, they are jobs that were gender discriminative today. I don't want to say that NRM has failed on everything. There are things they have also done equally well. Any woman may be in NRM who is still suffering. Women that they message, all those who are deliberately isolated or alienated from the strategic interventions. But we have over 80% of our civil society here in Uganda. Their main objective is to address women. Not even youth, but women. Everybody wants to begin an NGO, sits down under a tree. I'm going to talk about women, look for funding around women, and put them in, I take them photos. And whenever we shy from discussing the basics of a nation, that is peace and security, or the governance, the economy, the opportunities, the brand of the country itself, and the people's mindset, and then we go sex, male, female. It is not that it is not the most important thing. It is equally important, but there are issues that come first, to be honest. Even if all women voted for you, still you would need to go back and address these basics. it is better you address these basics that even the women who vote for you and those who don't vote for you all benefit.
Well, thank you very much. I needed
Because we don't have a
yes.
female presidential candidate.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean women will not vote.
Well, one of the submissions that Miss Yvonne was giving before she was cut off was the fact that there is no acknowledgement that structures or that these issues affect women differently than they affect other people. And, you know, as a woman, I hear her, and I believe that there is a gap in terms of understanding that fact, especially with our male leaders, however good they become.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to chip in on the
I feel if there was a female president, even male would say that she understands their male issues.
No.
I wanted to chip in on the conversation around empowerment of women and girls is an important conversation for anybody that wants to lead this country. Both in representation in politics, in empowerment, maybe entrepreneurship, that cuts across what you talked about on the economy. My experience is that, and coming from a background that actually supports teenage mothers that is speaking about, is that if you want to prosper as a nation, even as a family, have your money with the woman. Because you see, there is that adage that for us men, we spend our money on our friends and other women, but our women spend money on growing wealth. So anybody that wants to underscore the responsibility of a woman in growing a nation is not yet ready to govern a country. So yes, and that's why you see, it was deliberate that in every district in this country there is a woman representative, the one that will properly understand the needs of the women. Whether those women actually represent the needs of the women is another conversation, but at least there is a platform. You realize that inclusivity is an important aspect in governance, and that's why I was talking about the PDM and the Myoga circles here earlier on. You realize that the structure, I may also join him in talking about the implementation of the idea. But in the idea, you see that there is at least supposed to be a woman, there is supposed to be a young person, there is supposed to be a person.
I don't like it when women are referred as at least.
No, I've said at least a woman, at least a youth, at least all these special interest groups are properly represented there. There is also something called the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program. This is to introduce our women to recognize their efforts in growing wealth for this country. So Nancy, I understand the angle where you're coming from. There is one of what I do is empowering women and girls affected by teenage pregnancy. And you see, sometimes their esteem dies completely. Remember, teenage pregnancy rarely affects a man. This is something about a woman. Now, to get a man that actually will understand that is rare. So we also need to tell our women that if you need these spaces, there is nobody going to fight for you for this space. Come with your chair on this table, put it there and sit.
All right, we are fast coming to the end of this conversation. However, I'm going to go through a round so that everyone can, of course, at least tell us what their hope is for post-2020, for post-January 15th, 2026. What do they hope to see in this country, and which leader they believe will give us the best vision for that? And I'll begin with Masawi, then we'll go to Richard, and we'll end with you. So you'll give that with your parting shots.
Thank you very much, Nancy, the production team, CCG. Personally, I'm also a candidate, and you've been my biggest supporter, so I appreciate you whenever I get the opportunity. The young people in Eastern Uganda are really grateful. Not me alone, because they benefit from my being sharpened from here. So, coming back to your question, I'll conclude that today we are in a world where we don't no longer need to say we have special interest groups, but we need to say we have Ugandans who are equal. It is very unfortunate we never had a woman presidential candidate. But me, I'm working in a lot of spaces where women are having more brain power than I am. I struggle with them day and night. both home and away. So it is a call to all women and the girl child there that just believe that today you have what it takes to be the best of what you want to be. Coming back to the politics, I will not hide. We need every Ugandanese vote in fixing the economy, money in our pockets. The Right Honorable Nandala Masawi is there to be your best candidate of choice. If you are unemployed, you have issues of the fix you need to see in your economy, you feel marginalized, you feel the education system is not productive, you feel the city is burning you, you feel the heat of being a Ugandan. We don't want to tell you that have your hope in going to the Middle East, have your hope. We have got a president who is going to carry whatever takes you to the Middle East here, and you concentrate on developing your own backyard. So, to me, he's my candidate of choice. People want to say, hey, maybe because you work together in the other, but he's my candidate of choice, and we seek the support of our viewers. But we also beseech you to continue following the Youth Roundtable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Masawi, and we are happy to have you on the Youth Roundtable. You bring a fresh perspective to the conversation as usual. To you, Richard.
Thank you to our dear viewers and to also my fellow panelists here, and to you, the host, and also the production team. I didn't get a chance to chip into the female conversation, but
1 minute.
Priority 4 of the National Unity Platform manifesto prioritizes.
Just speak to your girlfriend. She's
Tell her she's safe.
just speak.
Yes,
Women issues are about speaking to your girlfriend.
That is true. So priority number 4 prioritizes the women and the special interests. There will be equity in sharing the national cake. We won't say this one is from here or this one is a certain. And to some degree, I agree with my brother from the FDC. The moment we start to victimize ourselves, we are giving the upper hand to the other group. So women, men, we are all the same. No one should tell you less. Going back to the politics also, like I said, I'm not on the political side. I'm not running for any office, but I'm advocating for a new Uganda, a Uganda that respects the citizen, a Uganda that is accountable, a Uganda that stands for all, whether man or woman, a Uganda that respects the law, a Uganda that works for us all. And that Uganda is none other than the Uganda that is led by His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, who is also the president of the National Unity Platform. Our symbol is the umbrella. So whatever umbrella taking, you're not only taking the umbrella, you're taking inclusivity, you're taking accountability, you're taking a servant leadership. So I would implore you to vote for Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu on the NUP ticket, National Unity Platform ticket, for the forthcoming elections. I beg to submit.
Thank you very much, Richard. And we at your Youth Roundtable are very happy that you decided to join us.
The pleasure is mine.
Yes, Augustine, now you can wrap up the conversation for us.
Well, thank you very much, team here and the production team. To the young people of this country, the responsibility of fixing any part of this country lies in our hands. And the election happening on the 15th of January is a reality. And it is happening. If you don't go out there and vote, please don't come out and cry for us who will have voted our preferred candidates on how you were stolen and so on and so forth. My experience with young people is that you don't vote, you only make noise. So, but don't just stop at voting. The elections for the special interest groups, especially for the young people, is ongoing. you need to get interested. The challenge we have as youth leaders is that we speak a lot about others and so little about ourselves. I implore all young people to go out there and participate in the youth structure elections, understand what happens in the process, so that we can deliver the credible leaders.
They are closing. I've been in an election since June. Is why I've grown thin, stunted.
So it is important for the young people to get into these conversations. You may not immediately be a material for an MP for your constituency, but let us start with the youth structure elections, and then we will get better with time. For me, coming from a perspective of a Hope Initiative alumni, of course, this is home, and I am always available to return and share opinions on what can shape our country for the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Augustine. We have come to the end of this conversation. I would first of all like to thank my panelists for all their deliberations. Even when they have very differing opinions, I believe that we've had a very civilized debate where ideas were shared, and perhaps this is the essence of every conversation and the Uganda that we want to see. But also to our production team behind the scenes, I would like to thank them very much for hosting us. And to everyone watching the Youth Roundtable, my name is Nancy Caroline Ayot, and as we wrap up this conversation, I will share my bias, which is that I'm a woman, and the woman conversation always takes center stage for me. So to share a quote, of course, that came from that resonated with me the most from the debate: the measure of development of any country is reflected in the development of its people. I urge people to go out there and vote based on that, but also to keep watching the Youth Roundtable. My name is Nancy Caroline Ayot. I've been your host.